This isn't just an AR issue. This is a business issue. How we get our business is that we have to build a relationship. When we win, we get paid. That's how I was able to collect $7.5 million because I did my 4 keys.
Welcome to Heroes of AI, powered by Growfin, a thought leadership series that spotlights the unsung champions and their transformational contributions in solving some of the biggest problems in the accounts receivable space. I'm your host, Pradyut Hande, and on this episode, we feature Dee Bowden, noted AR influencer and the author of Collect the Cash. Today, I'm joined by one of the most influential voices in the American AR and collections management ecosystem, Dee Bowden. Now, Dee is the author and creator of Collect the Cash. She teaches businesses how to solve their cash flow problems by using her proprietary 4 keys to collect the cash. After collecting $6 million in 60 days while working for an IT company, Dee recognized that businesses of varied sizes can actually fall prey to revenue loss because they don't collect outstanding invoices. Now, Dee's revenue recovery strategies have been featured in Forbes and Black Enterprise magazines. So we have a giant in the industry with us folks today. And thank you for joining us today, Dee. Delighted to chat with you and unlock a bunch of very, very pertinent and interesting accounts receivable related themes.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. So with the context setting and icebreakers, done away with, we have no more outstanding context setting here. Let's collect some valuable insights, right? And
absolutely. Yep.
What better way to start off this conversation with something that you are super passionate about, right? Which is your 4 keys in terms of collect the cash. Now, these include problem solving, customer service, expressing gratitude, and something that goes under the radar, relationship building, right? This forms the foundation of your work. So it'd be great if you could tell our audience a little bit more about this core philosophy, and we'll take a few questions post that.
Sure. Well, Pradyut, thank you so much for this, and good afternoon to your audience. So usually when I talk about the collect the cash, everybody asks me, like, where did you get this from? And so I'll just tell you a short story. So what had happened was I was working for this small IT company, as you mentioned earlier. And so you know how it is when you get hired, you just welcome aboard, here's your cubicle, or here's your box, or your remote, and they say, here's an agent worth $8 million. And the first thing, because I've been doing this a long time, the first thing I thought, well, okay, what's the problem? Like, how did y'all sell $8 million worth of IT services and you haven't gotten paid?
Right.
So that was the first thing that jumped off. So because I'm a person of faith, I kind of got quiet and the 4 keys came up. It was like problem solving, answering the question of what had happened was. And what had happened was it's kind of like the tongue in cheek, but it's really like, what's the story behind why happened the invoices being paid? That's the first thing. Customer service, as you know, and as your audience knows, we're in business to take care of our customers, and customer service kind of goes along with that. So if there's an issue, a data entry error, a PO's number is missing, whatever, your job is to take care of that customer and give them the best experience. So I believe in problem solving, customer service. Expressing gratitude is like this, Pradyut. You know how it is when you make a phone call to accounts payable or your client, and you finally get the person on the phone and they say, oh, Pradyut, the reason we haven't paid you is whatever the issue is. And then you're like, oh my gosh, thank you. I believe in saying thank you for helping me identify the disconnect, number 1. And number 2, usually on the bottom of our invoices, that's where it really came from. It says, thank you for your business. And I just believe that's where it came from. It came from the invoices I've seen over the years. It always says, thank you for your business. And what that taught me was 2 things. 1, every client that does business with you or your company, they appreciate the fact that you have a solution to their issue. That's the first thing. Secondly, because I've been in accounts payable and accounts receivable for over 20 years, building relationships is the person who takes my phone call, answers my question, and helps me figure out where I'm stuck. And it gives me the information to get unstuck. And then I don't make the same mistake again. And then the last thing is, you and I both know, which goes under the radar, is relationship building. How we get our business is that we have to build a relationship. We have to present this information, this solution, this whatever we sell to this client. That's number 1. Number 2, we have internal customers, of course, the people that we work with, and then our external customer, who's our client. If you don't build good relationships internally and externally, things don't move, things don't get resolved. And so I just learned, because I've dealt in the public sector and the private sector, that building relationships is important. And by the way, shameless plug, how did we get here? We built a relationship. We've been talking for a while, and that's the reason I'm a guest on your podcast today.
Yes, absolutely. Very well put. Very well put. And this is so fundamental, right? Sometimes I believe that we overcomplicate things. Of course, when you're operating at scale and when you're competing against time, you are bound to forget the first principles, right? And I think thank you so much for sharing that. Really enjoyed that tidbit that you shared. Like it came from the bottom of the invoice when you talk about, expressing gratitude. Thank you for your business. Very true. Very true. Just diving a little bit deeper into that same question. Now, we know that customer relationship building is critical, right? And customer experience is so important at the end of the day, because when you're chasing your customers to pay, you don't want that to become a point of friction, right? And but the thing is that things do get heated, like there can be extreme circumstances where the collections team is hard pressed for time. They're chasing targets that may seem unattainable. So in such a scenario, how can your philosophy actually help businesses collect without being ghosted or without even eroding existing customer relationships and trust?
Great question. First thing, I believe you have to see it like this. We're going from what had happened was, which is a story, to how do we win? And when we win, we get paid. That's right. The first thing. Secondly, you have to see yourself as a solutions provider, whether it's technology or person. When you're dealing with clients that, for example, if you're on a collections team, you've got a quota to meet. We all done it. I've done it for sure. Of course, here's your aging. We need to meet, X amount of dollars, blah, 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 all the things. But if you don't change your mindset first on how you approach this, you're not going to do anything different, because all you hear is, I gotta meet my quota. I gotta do this, blah, 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 blah. Okay. First, we understand that that's part of the business. But the other piece is, how am I going to approach this from a solutions perspective, which is, okay, there are these clients that are sometimes challenging. Got it. How do I figure out what's the problem so that we can go from, what had happened was to how do we win? In between the what had happened was to how do we win is the story, is the solution, is the question, is the tell me how we got here, and then how do we fix this? And sometimes it's asking a simple question. It's like, okay, clearly when we conducted this deal, we signed it, we did other things, we might have missed a step. And you don't sometimes figure that out until afterward, after you sign the contract, you've made the sale, and then you go to collect the invoice and you're like, oh, I'm missing some information. Oh, I'm missing ... And it's like, oh, okay. So if we don't go back and fix that, you're going to have this problem will be on repeat. Right. So I believe that how you fix it is, number one, solutions. Number two, if there's a mistake made, fix it. 3, ask the client to help you help them, because they need to know that you care about them. So this is not just about you collecting money. Your customer needs to know that you care about them, and how you would approach it. Like I said, is solutions based. It's not just give me my money. It's okay. How do we solve this? Number one, we're sorry that there's been an inconvenience. Number one. Number two, we want to come up with a better solution so we don't make the same mistake again. 3, we want to continue this great relationship with you because we value you as our customer. And 4, we're gathering lessons. We're always improving, and how we improve is we get best practices. So when we learn from you, so that with our next customer, we don't make the same mistake. And we want to thank you for helping us improve and be better.
Makes sense. You've really broken down that entire process beautifully there. A couple of points there that I found really intriguing. Now, obviously, we come from an enterprise background where we help businesses use the power of AR automation to do a lot of these things at scale and speed, right? Volume and velocity will always keep increasing. Interesting point that you made there about how you also want your customers to help themselves or feel a little bit more in control of the entire process, right? I think that's where things like customer portals come into play, where there's a self-serve angle as well. Automation in that case can actually help a lot of collectors not repeat those same mistakes again. Little things like that, right? Things that businesses often, grapple with in a cyclical manner. It becomes sort of like part of their collective problem, just hampering their collections process. So super insights there. And that also brings me to my next question, right? You consult for so businesses. You work with businesses which are on the B2B side of things. You work with government agencies as well. You have in the past. Now, in your experience, just wanted to understand. Now, one thing is relationship building, handling things one-on-one. But as size increases, the maturity level of the organization also must keep pace with that in terms of technology adoption, in terms of empowering their own people to optimize processes and collect faster and better. Now, what are some of these habits or gaps that you believe that may stall the collections process in such a scenario?
Pradyut, that's a great question. Number one, most of us that have been inside any organization, it's usually, welcome aboard, and here's our process. We've done it for X amount of years. We may have tweaked a couple of things, but this is kind of how we do it. When you introduce anything new, most people don't like change.
True. Very true.
They don't like change. And if it depends, if it depends on industry or agency or process, when you introduce a new thing, you have to take into account the fact that people that have been doing the work, they've basically got their checklist. They know step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. And now you want to introduce this new process, this new system, this new way of seeing things. And I think one of the things that doesn't happen is we don't give enough room for people to really understand or at least get comfortable with the new idea. We usually kind of tell you, here's the rollout. This is how we're changing it. Take this class, take this webinar, and then go. And I think we forget the human part of, okay, I need a moment to just adjust to the fact that we've changed our system. I still want to be a top producer, but I need to understand how the new system works. And I just need a minute to embrace that. And I think that's one of the things that doesn't happen was we don't make room for that. Excuse me one second. My camera keeps sliding. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So, but anyway, that's what I was saying. So I think that's one of the issues. And I think as we understand that business and life always grows, always changes. The fact that we're talking about AI and AR, that's a change because nobody, those of us that have done AR, we're used to, here's our, a manual process, invoices, Excel, blah, blah, blah. Now you're talking about bringing automation. And some people, of course, when they see automation, the nervousness is my job being taken away. We're like, no. This is a tool to help you do your job better. But I think you have to make sure that people understand that this is not taking away your job. It's helping you do what you do better. And we're just using another tool. And we want you to be comfortable with the tool, use the tool, and also show us where we can improve the tool so we can help you do your job better. When that conversation is had and people go, oh, I don't feel threatened. You're just giving me another way to do this. Great. Got it. And then I can go in and excel.
Makes sense. And I'm glad you brought up that point because it comes up in many of our conversations with industry folks as well. Even companies where, tech adoption is not that much of a challenge across other functions. This is one primary function where the moment the talk of automation or AI can come up, there may be a little bit of pushback. There may be an internal resistance in terms of adoption as such. Because organizations have gotten so used to solving for the same problem with the same approach, right? So it requires a change in mindset as well. And that's what we believe here at Growfin as well. When we talk about automation in general and AI coming into automation within the AR space, it's a question of not replacing jobs, but it amplifies and augments the existing capabilities of the collections team, of the AR function. And folks like you who are, talking with businesses day in and day out, I'm sure this is one of the first things that comes up in conversation, right? You have to put folks at ease before you even can tell them that, hey, these are the 10 benefits of actually doing it with automation, because manual processes can only get you there till so long and that far. It then comes to a stage where a reliance and adoption of technology can take you to that next level. And it's just, showing them that promised land, making them feel that aha moment, right? That's the one that you said, right? When they pause and like, oh, okay, yeah, this might be a game changer. So it makes sense. And again, on that same note as well.
Sure.
So while there is AR automation, there's AI, these are now, concepts that have gone beyond mere buzzwords. These are now part of core product and solutions, right? So, but there's also an overload of information out there. Organizations need to, sort of like dig deep and separate the wheat from the chaff, if you could call it, the hype from the real value. Now,
absolutely.
In your view, I just wanted to understand, what sort of a role can AI play in AR automation, and how can it, amplify the capabilities of a human-centered tech stack?
That's a great question. Well, one, AI, if people take this approach, one, explain. I think what happens is, like you said, is let me go back. You made a comment. You said there's a lot of information out here, and we have to separate the wheat from the chaff. That's one. Number two, and when you bring AI into the organization, into conversation, I think I'm old school. So, demonstrate. Give me a T square. This is what life was before AI. This is life after AI. When we did it old school, we did Excel, manual, dot. Yeah. Now with AI, so basically connect my old school to AI and to the automation. Line one, line two, and then take it from this to this, and then help me to see the connection. Because I think what happens is that we don't do that. We just bring in AI, we just start going, and we never go back and say, okay, do you see where this is how we did it? We're not saying not to do it this way. We're saying to do it this way, plus add this to it. And this is how you connect it. That's one of the things I think that doesn't happen. I think that's why you have such resistance, because nobody's actually connecting the dots. Now, to make it more human, now I understand not every company is going to take the time or want to do that. But my belief is that in terms of doing the people side of AR, the softer side of AR, I believe that the problem solving, this is a great example of problem solving. So you want me to use AI and automation in your company? Great. How are you going to help me to understand how this is a problem solving tool for what I do to collect my invoices? Help me see why we're doing this along with what I've been doing. Help me connect the dots. When you see me as not just a collector, but I'm part of the solution to help us get our money, and you help me make this make sense in what I do, then I can go, okay, this is a tool. This improves me. I grow in knowledge, skills, and abilities. And I'm actually a resource to the company internally and externally to our customers, and say, okay, yep, we're introducing this new system. This is how we're going to do it. And because I have understood how this works, I'm a better resource for you when you go into the portal and you don't understand something. Now I can help serve you. I can do customer service better because now I understand how to solve the problem with AI and automation. 2, I know how to do customer service. 3, the customer who's struggling will be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, because I've been struggling. I didn't understand all the things inside the portal. And then you build a better relationship, and they're like, oh, you go above and beyond for me? Perfect. I love this. And then you get, obviously get more business, you get great reviews, all the things.
Fantastic that you broke it down again, bringing it back to first principles, right? That initial dissonance, getting past that is actually the key. And the fact, the way you beautifully broke down, matching existing processes to what AR automation software or the enhanced AI capabilities can help you do. I think that just puts it in a visual, mind map for those who are looking at it. And definitely, that's food for thought for a lot of software providers as well. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dee. Loving the chain conversation that we are building right now, right?
Yep.
Cool. We're going to now take a 60,000 feet view, right? Just in terms of your experience, because as I mentioned previously, you work with businesses, you work with the government agencies, public, private sectors as well. Now, you've made impossible recoveries, like the $7.5 million recovery of unused federal funds for the US Coast Guard. Now, that's a legendary story that I happened to stumble upon from your career from back in the day. Also wanted to know now, in your philosophy of the 4 keys, how does it show up differently for B2B and B2G organizations?
I don't believe it shows up differently, because here's the thing. So, for example, when I worked at the Coast Guard, when I got hired, they were like, Dave, we have hundreds of contracts that have been sitting. Basically, the work has been done, the period performance has ended, and there's excess funds sitting on the contract. Okay. Now, I didn't know anything about closing out these particular contracts with this agency, so I had to learn it real quick, which is problem solving. Okay, you get the knowledge down real quick. So once I got it, I was like, okay, there are thousands of contracts and thousands of dollars sitting, there's problem solving. How come this much money is still sitting on the books after the contracts have ended? So the contracts were awarded one time, the work was done, the period performance ended, and now the money is still sitting there and nobody knows why. That's one. Number 2, customer service. Obviously, I'm doing customer service on behalf of the Coast Guard, and then I have to interact with different branches of the Navy, all the vendors who have the contracts, work with them. So I got to do express gratitude. So I am working on closing out contracts that are old. So that let's say the contract was awarded in 2020, it ended in 2022, and then it's sat for a couple of years. So that means the work has already been done and the money is still sitting there and nobody's asking why.
Why?
So I'm going to do the problem solving. I got to do customer service. I got to do express gratitude for the person who goes into the system and helps me confirm that the vendor did the work, the final invoice was submitted, and they're not owed any more money.
Right.
And then I got to build a relationship to get them to sign my documents, sign the contractor's release form that says we X company we've worked with this agency. We agreed that this is how much the contract was worth. This is how much we got paid, and we've completed our services, and we're done. So it's not any different to me because whether it's public sector, private sector, you are solving. Do you remember in school how we used to solve for X?
Oh yes, of course. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's what this is. We're solving, regardless of what industry you work for, whether the invoice is on the government side or private sector side, private sector side, you're solving for X. The X is how do we get here, and then we're trying to reverse engineer how we got here, and so we can get this resolved. That's how I was able to collect $7.5 million because I did my 4 keys, and I basically said, okay, I'm solving for X. X is these contracts are awarded and the money's still sitting here. B, I have to figure out the process to get the money back. C, I have to build the relationships and then get the vendors to sign the paperwork and confirm all the money's done, and then get this done. So, yep.
Oh, beautiful. Love that analogy. Solve for X, right?
Yes.
I'm going to steal that with due credit given.
long as you give me credit.
Oh, yes.
Long as you give me credit.
Absolutely. That's something you don't have to worry about. But beautifully broken down again. And now these were realities and stories of the past, right? These are again, I would say like incidents and wins from your past that have shaped who you are today. And you've seen this evolution over the last, many, many years. The pandemic was another inflection point where a bunch of businesses went out of business, went bankrupt. A lot of bad debts had to be written off. We've now reached the stage again in this current economic climate, super turbulent, very unpredictable, volatile in general. I'm sure these are, common conversations you have with business owners and other folks in the AR industry as well. Now, what would your advice in such a scenario be to maybe business owners, CFOs, or VPs of finance? How can they actually future-proof their cash flow strategy and be more resilient in such very, very uncertain times?
Dude, listen, if you and I had to answer that question, we would not be talking about this. I'm kidding.
No, absolutely. But only one of us can be put on the spot.
I know. I got it. No, first of all, great question. How can a CFO, a director of finance, and AR director manage this better? Number one, you have to take a look at your aging. I'm old school. I'm going to go back to the aging. I need to see the list of our accounts. I need to see, okay, where are we at 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days? 1, 2, collectively, we need to have a call. We need to have a Zoom call, a Google Meet, or Microsoft Teams, pizza. I don't care what you do. My point is that we have to have a conversation about how are we collectively, because it's not just the CFO, it's the person that's on the ground. It's the practitioner who has to actually execute what they need done. So we collectively have to have a conversation to say, okay, here's what we're looking at. If we don't get this cash flow under wraps, within the next 30, 60 days, we could potentially be like the company that I worked for years ago that went out of business, even though we collected all that money. So if we're not having a conversation, number one, if we're not saying what additional support do you need? Is it just an AR issue? Is it also a sales issue? Do we need to have a conversation with both the account manager of the accounts? Is it just sales? Is it just AR? Is it both? We also have to make sure that we understand that collectively, this isn't just an AR issue. This is a business issue. And so if we don't fix this, if we don't have a conversation about it, we could potentially end up, like the company I worked for. The part of this is that everything is happening so fast. I jokingly say we try to solve everything on 144 characters. We can't. Number one. Number two, we don't talk. Unfortunately, people don't talk. They just send things, hit the button, hope it's right, blah, blah, blah. I believe that if you want to do future mapping for this, it's a conversation. It doesn't have to be long. It could be a 30-minute call where we say, okay, the reason for our meeting today is the following. we've got, 5 million or 8 million, how many millions of dollars outstanding invoices across 30, 60, 90 days. I as a CFO cannot manage all of this by myself. I collectively need all of you to help me solve this. I need to know, is there an issue from on the sales end that we missed something? AR people, the people that are doing the work on the ground, what do you need? Where are you stuck? How can we collectively help you? And do you, what do you need? Is it, are you stuck using the technology? Do you need a refresher in that? B, do you have a relationship with your salesperson that brought in this business? Do you know him or her? And have you asked them when you go to collect this account? Have you asked them, listen, is there anything that I'm missing that so I can make these calls and get this money? I just feel like there's a conversation. You can have the conversation, but you can also use the technology. And I feel like if you address it from the standpoint of, listen, I don't want to see us lose. I don't want to see anybody go out. I don't want the business to go out. I don't want the business to go out of business. I don't want anybody losing their job. I am saying collectively, like I said earlier, I talked about being solution-based. Solutions-based is having a conversation. And then it's figuring out, okay, from the technology and the people, how do we do this together? And then how can we set this up as a goal? And when we collect this money, plan to celebrate it. I believe you need to celebrate your wins. It's one of those things that I feel like this. We forget how sometimes how challenging AR can be.
True.
We forget how challenging it can be. I believe that if you have a meeting and then you get together and you say, okay, once we collect this money, we're going to celebrate. Mm-hmm. Whether it's an Amazon gift card, whether you do an outing, I don't care what you do. I feel like you just need to make sure that you celebrate the people that are helping you get this goal accomplished, and how we future map it again, have the conversation, ask the questions, give the people a chance to share their feedback, because you're at the $6,000, $60,000 fee. You're here. You're not dealing with the customers on a daily basis that I'm challenged with collecting. All you know is you're looking at this and like, here's my aging, all this money is outstanding, I need to collect it. Okay, great. Come talk to me, the person that's on the ground that has to do the work, that needs help, and may feel uncomfortable asking for help, because there's never been anybody who's really said, no, I don't want you just to collect the money. I need to give you the tools so you can be successful, whether it's AI, automation, and support.
Lovely. 2 points really stood out from what you mentioned there. The fact that the CFOs or the powers that be in the Office of Finance leadership may not always realize is that it's not just an AR problem. It could be a process problem across the finance function. It could be a sales problem. That also puts a spotlight on how collaborative an effort it needs to be in AR, right? It's not just the AR function of the collectors or the controllers. You have the treasury team, you have the customer success team, you have the sales teams. Everyone needs to sit on the same, be on the same page as such. And that's something that collaborative AR would focus on, ensuring that, the sales folks know exactly the relationship, the quality of the relationship that customer success is building. The AR collectors would know, that the onus is now on them as the final point of contact with the customer to not damage that relationship. So there's so many, sort of intricacies that go into that, to making collaborative AR the present and the future of AR automation as well. The second thing that you mentioned there is that, when collections happen, when they happen on time, or when collections are actually realized, when they actually hit the bank as such, the account, it cannot be a one-off occasion, right? Of course, it's celebration worthy, but it can't be a one-off occasion. For AR teams as well, it's important to understand why this happened. Like if there was a delay, why that happened. Of course, aging buckets will help us do that. So they need to be equipped with the visibility and the predictability and control over cash flow from end to end. So I think fantastic points that you brought to the table. And I was just trying to connect the dots as well as to, how this can be extrapolated as well. So thank you, Dee. That is brought us to the end of our conversation. I didn't quite realize how quickly time went by, because I think that's what happens when you're having a great conversation. I hope you had fun. You're part of Heroes of AR. And as I keep saying, right, it's an underappreciated function that goes completely under the radar, something that we've spoken about multiple times as well. As I like to say, right, some heroes wear capes, others collect cash on time and predict cash flow efficiency. So thank you once again, Dee, I'm sure our audience will benefit a lot from all the insights that you've shared. And yeah, anything that you would like to add?
First, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to be a part of the conversation of the heroes of AR. I think that, and I'm so grateful that we are having this conversation, because you're right. This is one of the functions that is not celebrated, not seen. And I think that coming together to have this conversation, what I hope that it does is that it empowers the people that do the work to say that we see you and we value you and we want you to feel celebrated and appreciated. Number two, we hope that you will embrace technology, automation, and AI. And three, know that the collaboration of AR is an evolving space, and as you bring your knowledge, skills, and abilities to it, it can only get better. And that's it. The best is yet to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much for wrapping up the the conversation on that fantastic note. Yeah, thank you so much again.